I find the truth, I find me in you, a truth beyond what you may see now. But when we are one, we bring more good about. No matter who or what you call yourself or where you come from, yeah. There is a place in this world with open arms right now. Welcome to love, welcome to peace, welcome to our community. Be who you are, let your light shine. We're so much more when we unite. You are welcome here. You are welcome here. See with new eyes, allow and unfold. Embrace and let go. Trust the flow. There's a freedom with love when you follow your heart. Together we are stronger than we could ever be apart. No matter who or what you call yourself or where you come from, yeah. There is a place in this world with open arms right now. Welcome to love, welcome to peace, welcome to our community. Be who you are, let your light shine. We're so much more when we unite. You are welcome here. You are welcome here. Breathe in and out. Slowly feel all that's around you. All that you feel, all that you know. Let it go. Welcome to love. Welcome to peace. Welcome to our community. Be who you are. Let your light shine. We're so much more when we unite. Yeah, when we unite. Oh, we unite. Yeah, yeah. When we unite.
We don't have enough. Wonderful. Good morning and welcome everyone. Oop, all kinds of something just Good morning. Good morning. Welcome. Oh, good morning and welcome everyone to Center for Spiritual Living Ocala. I am Reverend Cindy Grimes, the inspirator of our center. And gosh, so many new faces. How wonderful to see you all. Raise your hand if you're here for the first time. Fabulous, fabulous. First time today, right? First time today. All right, let me tell you a little bit, give you the rundown of today and how this is going to be and what we're all about. So, the first thing here, just let me turn on the clicker. There we go. Welcome to CSL Ocala, our Center for Spiritual Living. Now, of all you new folks, have you ever been to a Center for Spiritual Living? No, okay, great. Because we do things here differently anyway. Every center is different, so that's good. That's good. So our mission here at Center for Spiritual Living Ocala is that we embody and share truth principles and spiritual practices that allow us to awaken to that power and presence that lies within and all around us. So this thing that people call God, and you might like that word, you might not, you may call it spirit, universe, whatever that is, it doesn't matter as far as we're concerned here what you call that thing. The thing is that it is part of, we are all part of it. We are expressions of that. We are the hands and feet and eyes and ears and mouth and, you know, of God itself. Can y'all be with that? Yeah, okay, great. Then you're in the right place. And the purpose we come together is so that we can facilitate spiritual healing and remember the truth of who we are, which is that we are already perfect and whole. You can't be anything else, right? We just can't be anything else. So we come together to remind ourselves of that truth and to elevate ourselves individually and collectively. We all come up together. So that's our mission. And our vision is that we are a thriving New Thought community dedicated to spiritual growth and practice, sacred activism, and the transformative love that reveals our interconnectedness and oneness. It's a big, beautiful vision, I think. And when we say we're a thriving New Thought community, that's just letting you know that there are other New Thought communities. There are other denominations even. Not just centers of spiritual living, right? But Unity. Who else? Who else is there, Norma? Unity is another one. Divine Science. There's probably some other ones. Lots of independence. Yeah. So we're just one. That is very true. Oh, thank you. And she's been to a few, right? So what is this idea of sacred activism? That is the intersection of consciousness and action, the place where prayer and service activate love and where spiritual principles become lived practice. It's like going beyond thoughts and prayers. Like, what do we do to actually, get in movement with making the change and being the change that we want to see? So that's what we're all about here. And our values is the wholeness of spirit, spiritual and personal growth. We value collaborative, synergistic community, abundance and prosperity, love and compassion, appreciation, peace and balance, power of freedom, diversity and inclusion, and generosity. Lots of good stuff. Lots of good stuff here. Did I skip gratitude, like the most important thing? The most important thing. Who is it? I think Meister Eckhart said, if you say one prayer in your life, let it be a prayer of gratitude. Right? Because that is the thing that will move you through any difficulty faster than anything else. So, wrong way. Okay. It's not going. There we go, values. And Circle Sunday. So every Sunday is a little bit different here. The first Sunday we usually do some type of workshop atmosphere. Second Sunday is the most traditional. The seats are lined up and there's a speaker up front and you're not real interactive. Third Sunday, which is this Sunday, is what we call our Circle Sunday. And it's an opportunity to be a little more engaged. So I'm not going to be speaking the whole time. I will be laying out kind of what the conversation is, the topic that we're discussing this week. Come on in, just join us. And then we'll be splitting out into smaller groups. But let me go through this and I'll let you know how that's going to work. So radical accountability, a path to transformation. That's what we're talking about today, like taking radical accountability for ourselves and our lives. And so, basic accountability. You don't want to go to radical accountability, right? All right, so we start by acknowledging native lands. And we are all here in the United States on land that belonged to Native people at one time, and this was sacred land. If you know that about these springs here, there's just some really magical, wonderful stuff that's here in this area. So we just like to take some time to um, tap into that energy and that presence and acknowledging the fact that we are on native lands, sacred space. And the process that we're doing today, the circle processes, come from the native peoples. So these are the indigenous tribes of Marion County, and we're just going to take a few moments to just acknowledge that presence in silence. Welcome to our space. And so what we teach here in Centers for Spiritual Living is a practical study of consciousness and truth principles that come from all different modalities. So there's science. My education as a minister here encompassed science, education, philosophy, in addition to studying different religious traditions. So what we do is pull the common threads of all those different things and teach truth principles that are true for all of us, no matter what country you're from, no matter what your socioeconomic or sexual background, or whatever, all of that. There are things that are common to all of us as human beings, and that's where we play in Centers for Spiritual Living. So this philosophy is based on the principle that consciousness is the source and substance of all that is, and as I said before, we're all one with that. We're all part of that consciousness and presence. So why circle? Why not? Why not? Sure, why not? What do you think is special about circle? No beginning, no end. Equality. Yeah. You see and hear everybody, right? You can't hide in a circle. And that's terrifying for some folks. Thanks for staying. We've actually had people that walked in the door and saw we were sitting in circle and were like, no, I'm out. I'm out. For real. For real. They could have. Maybe that was it. I don't know. And you bring them back in? Right? Well, I think everyone in here can hear each other, but we are also live streaming, so maybe can we get a mic? Would you mind getting us a mic? Would you mind getting us a mic? Yeah. Yeah. Our helpers, I think they're in here. So I think we hit most of these things already. So circles provide structure and process for conversations that foster mutual respect, emotional literacy, empathy, all kinds of things that happen in a circle. And people have been gathering in circle as long as there have been people. On every continent, every indigenous tradition, people have been gathering in circles. So that's another reason we come together. And as you said, Jen, and Amanda, right? Symbol of wholeness, unity, oneness. It's universal, shared power. Everyone is valued. Everyone is seen and heard. All that good stuff. And maybe more. I think we might need new batteries. Okay, so the format, how this is going to work, is we have this little opening that we do, and then we'll have a meditation kind of centering thing that we're going to do here in a little bit. Then I'll do a little presentation that's about the theme that we had for the month. And then we'll have some guidelines for how we're going to do the circle. And then we're going to break out into small groups of 3 to 4 people. And you're not going to be with the people you came with. Y'all okay with that? And there's a reason for that. And it's an invitation. It's an invitation. And then we'll do a closing. So y'all ready? Ready to play? All right, so let's start with that centering exercise, and I'm going to invite you all to just get comfortable where you're sitting, relax a little bit, take a nice deep breath. If you want to close your eyes, you can do that. That's fine. If not, just find something to kind of set your gaze. And let's begin by just being together here in this moment, taking a deep, gentle breath in through your nose and release slowly through your mouth. Again, take another breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. And with each breath, allow your body to relax, your muscles to soften a little bit, your mind to quiet, and your heart to open. Feel the support beneath you, the ground that's holding you, the circle that's holding you. Know that you are safe here. Now imagine roots extending from the soles of your feet down deep into the earth. Feel them anchoring you, steadying you, connecting you to the strength and wisdom of all who've come before. With every breath, draw up that groundedness, that stability. You're planted, you're rooted, and you are whole. Now gently bring your attention to the center of your chest, where your heart resides. Imagine a warm light glowing there, soft, steady, and bright. With each breath, that light expands, filling your chest and radiating outward into our circle. See the light of your heart joining with the light of those around you. Beautiful flames forming a constellation of wisdom, unity, and love. Feel into the truth that is in this circle. There are no teachers and there are no students, only mirrors, for we are each reflections of one another. Here to learn together, to grow together, and to see ourselves in one another's stories. And now I invite you to imagine a doorway before you. On the other side of this doorway is a deeper way of living. One where you release blame, you release fear, and you release waiting for the other shoe to drop. Because through this doorway lies radical responsibility and accountability. The knowing that you are a conscious creator, capable of choosing your responses, capable of shaping your own path, and capable of thriving fully. As you take your next breath, see yourself stepping through that doorway. Feel the shift. The lighter shoulders, the steadier breath, an expanded mind, and a freer heart. You carry no shame, you carry no blame, no burdens, only awareness, choice, and infinite possibility. Now whisper silently to yourself, I'm grounded. I'm open. I'm ready to give and to receive. I'm here to thrive. And take another breath, feeling the circle that's around you. All of these beautiful souls united in courage, in honesty, and compassion. Together we are co-creating this moment. Together we are strengthened. Together we become more than we could have done on our own. So when you're ready, slowly bring your awareness back to the space, back to the room, feeling your feet on the floor, your body supported, and your breath steady. And when it feels right, gently open your eyes, bringing this sense of presence, connection, and possibility to your circle. And welcome back. Is everybody here? All right. Whoa. Whoa. All right. Well, that kind of sets the intention for the idea of circle. Is the idea that we are all mirrors of one another, and coming together in circle and sharing our stories really expands everybody's awareness and understanding, especially when you realize that we're all kind of reflections of one another. So, what we're talking about today, what this subject is, and this has been our theme for the month. So the first Sunday, I think we talked about the dreaded drama triangle. How many of you were here for that conversation? Yes, some of you were here, some of you were not. So it'll be review for some and first time hearing it for others. So, but I think it's a pretty self-evident concept when you get it. And the fact is that most of us, or most of the world, I think, lives in this space of what, I forget his name now, but the person who came up with this model calls the dreaded drama triangle. And in the dreaded trauma triangle, we have victims, we have persecutors, and we have rescuers or saviors. Can any of you know that? Do you know that whole scenario there? Right? And how many of you have spun with that scenario like forever? Maybe still in it. Maybe there's something going on in your life where you're feeling victimized, either by a person or a circumstance, a situation, and just waiting for that savior, right? I'm going to win lotto this week. I just know I'm going to win lotto this week, Looking for the savior, looking for the fixer. It would be nice, wouldn't it? And I did play my ticket, by the way. But so many of us live in this space of the drama triangle and feeling like a victim. And if you see the victim is at the bottom there, and then your persecutor and the rescuer are like up from them, right? It's a very kind of precarious situation being in that victim. But this is just kind of how the world goes. And sometimes we're the victim, or sometimes we're the persecutor, or sometimes we're the savior. And we spin. And sometimes you're the persecutor in somebody else's story. You might be feeling like a victim, but they're looking at you like you're a persecutor. So we spin round and round and round with this until we break out of it. And this is a model for us to break out, and it has to do, of course, with that idea of responsibility. So we flip that triangle and turn it over, so now instead of being a victim, we see ourselves and understand ourselves as the creator of our experience. And those things that were the rescuer and the persecutor that were one up from you are now at the bottom of the triangle in support of you and your purpose and why we're all here. So the persecutor then becomes seen as a challenger. They're not here to make your life miserable. They're not here to persecute or put their thumb on you. Maybe this circumstance is actually to show you that you're something more. Maybe that challenger is here to help you build your muscle. And instead of looking for a savior, we find coaches, right? People who maybe have been down the path before that can show us a better way to do it now. Or, flip it where you, instead of swooping in and being the rescuer, which is one of my favorite positions there, as a minister, you can imagine. Here to help people, I'm a helper. But that kind of helping can very easily become codependency. right? And that's not a comfortable place to be. And maybe the other person's not even seeing it as a help. They're now seeing you as a persecutor. So busting out of that whole thing, we're not here to fix anybody else. We're not here to, to be the savior. We can be a coach for other people, but we're not here to fix other people's lives. And myself as a minister, people want to come to me and ask me for, the answer. What do I do about this situation or that situation? And I'm never going to give you an answer because I can't, because I don't know, right? I don't know what is right for somebody else. I barely know what's right for me. But here's what I can know about you and about all of us is that we have our answers right here. The answer to whatever situation you are dealing with exists right where you are sitting. You have all the resources, inner and outer, that you need to get through whatever it is. And if they're not present to you right now, they will be, just from you making that shift in perspective and understanding and being in that place of faith and knowing that life is conspiring on your behalf because you came here with a purpose and a reason for being. And we just want to remember that. So we come together as community to remind ourselves of that because sometimes I forget. And I teach this stuff. Does anybody else ever? Have you found yourself in victim mode at any point this week? Anybody else? It happens. It happens. And sometimes it helps to have other people around you that can help you remember the truth about yourself and why you're here. So that's why we come together in spiritual community. So that's one of the models that we talked about was the empowerment dynamic and how we go from drama to empowerment. The other one was this model by Michael Beckwith of spiritual evolution, and some of you who've been in this teaching for a while have probably heard this before. And that is this idea of how we move through life. And when we're at the bottom, when we're feeling in that place of victim, it feels like life is happening to me. Right? I have no choice in the matter. Things are just happening to me, and I'm sitting here as a victim for me. And that's probably where, I don't know, what do you guess? 98% of our population is living? Yeah, I'm curious, like I'd love to know what that critical point is, that idea of the 100th monkey. Like when so many people get an idea that it finally tips over into something new, how many of us is it going to take to figure out that we're not victims, that we are actually co-creators in our own experience? When that reality shifts, everything is going to shift. Everything will shift. And the fact that we're speaking about it, that we are here together in this space means that it is in process. It is happening. We are in the midst of a paradigm shift right now. Woohoo, yes, right? The more turmoil, the more crazy there is, the more you know that something is afoot, right? Things are changing. Things are changing. So we're going from life happens to me, that's the bottom, that's where they're kind of where we all are. And then we move to this life happens by me. And this is when like you find the secret, right? And you start getting into this idea and like, wow, what do you mean I'm a co-creator? So you start making your vision boards. Y'all have done that? And writing your goals and start doing the affirmations and seeing yourself in this thing that you want to accomplish or achieve. Have y'all, everybody in here experience that too, right? And that's a great place to be. You can use it like for parking spaces and jobs and things like that, because you're doing the thing. You're doing the thing. Well, guess what? There's a place even beyond that. Like it's not you having to make things happen. It's that life is happening through you. You become the vessel. Right? You become like, as I said before, you're the eyes and ears and hands and feet of spirit. Let spirit use me. Use me, right, to make things better. And there's a place even beyond that. And that is life happening as me. As me, when you really step into that mode of creator. And that feels, that to me is a little more slippery, can feel really esoteric. But I did have an experience just a couple of weeks ago. I think I shared the story last week about being on I-75 in a bad accident. It's bad when I-75, all lanes are completely at a dead standstill. And it was like that for 3 hours. 3 hours. And so we knew we were having, I was with 3 other friends, one of whom is a wonderful mentor and peace builder, who just lives this life happening as her, as spirit. This is who this woman is. And so we're in the car, and the first thing is the recognition that we're not going to get where we need to go on time, but that's okay, because while we may be having a lousy day, somebody else is having a really terrible one, right? So we said some prayers for the people that were involved, not knowing what was going on. And then we got present. We got present. And the fact is, I hadn't seen these folks in person in several months, and we're great friends. And so we sat and we played games together, and we talked, and I Spy, and what else, Would You Rather, and all those fun games I play with my grandkids. And so there was a different, the mood in the car shifted. And then Hart got out of the car and started just walking up and down and talking to people and knocking on the doors and just making friends. And then next thing you see, people are getting out of their vehicles. And this group of teenagers got out of their car and they got in the median and they were hanging out. And it was like a block party on I-75. It was like, wow. And I was sitting there just thinking, I could have been with a lot of other people, during this moment, my grandkids, my husband, all people that I love dearly, and it would not have been that experience. Maybe even with some of you, I don't know, right? It was not going to be that. But here was somebody who was taking that on, life happening as me, like I am spirit, I am God in expression, and I'm going to make the best of this situation. And that's what she did, and it was such a beautiful thing. And so it doesn't have to be monumental. It's just showing up is what's needed in the moment. Maybe somebody needs a smile. Maybe somebody needs a hug. Whatever it is that you are living as that. You're being the love, the wisdom, the peace, the truth of spirit itself. And it really is just that simple. We complicate things so unnecessarily. So the moment you accept responsibility for everything in your life, everything, is the moment you gain the power to change everything in your life. Now, we may not be responsible, at least on a conscious level, for the accident, for whatever, how our body is, like our genetics or whatever, right? We're dealt a hand in life. You get a hand. And you may not be responsible, but then there are some people who think maybe we do choose those things ahead of time, right? But we can always say that we're responsible for how we play the hand. You may not be responsible for what you got, but you're responsible for how you play it. And when you take that on, life changes completely. Right? And that's part of our path. That's what we teach here, and that's what we believe here. And so how do we do that? We own our power as a conscious creator. Right? Remember that you are here created in the image and likeness of the Creator. And that doesn't mean that we look like God, but that we are creative essence. We're like the waves in the ocean, right? You're not the ocean itself, but you are part of that. We are the waves made of the same stuff that is the ocean, that is God. Take accountability for what's yours and only yours. This is for all the rescuers in the room. Self included. Right? Responsibility for yours, and allow people to be responsible and accountable for what is theirs. And remembering that not only are you a creator, we are all creators. We are all creators. So even that person who's persecuting you, feels like is persecuting you, or that person who is being a victim, they are creating their experience as well. So hold that truth for them. Take accountability for what is yours and only yours. Releasing shame and blame. If you've seen that list I have with, and it's not from me, it's, anybody remember? It's got all of the emotions on it, and it starts with shame at the bottom. and it moves up. David Hawkins. David Hawkins. Shame is like the worst vibrating, the worst feeling there is. And then you have guilt. You're moving up from guilt. And the difference between shame and guilt is shame is that I am a horrible person. Guilt is I did something bad, right? You separate the doer from the deed. When you're in shame, you're in that place of very, feeling like you're bad, worthless, or somebody else is bad and worthless, versus somebody did something wrong. Separate those two things. And shame is never a good place to be anyway. It feeds on itself, and it's real easy to stay in that drama triangle when you're in shame. So we get out of shame. That's the first thing. Release shame and blame. Then choosing with awareness and responsibility. Who wants to say the Viktor Frankl quote? I know you've heard it so many times. Go ahead, Norma.
Between every stimulus, between stimulus and what you do about it, there's a space. And what you do with that space is where the power is.
There you go. Absolutely. Very good. Between what happens to you and what you do about it, right? The space. So this is why we do spiritual practices, so that we can get used to taking that time in the space to actually respond and not just react to the things that happen to us. All right, so we get to choose with awareness and to be responsible. Then giving yourself permission to feel and express your joy. This is a big one. How many of you feel like you have any issues with that at all, with joy? Like things get to be really, really good, and then you're waiting for what? The other shoe to drop. There you go. So many shoes. They're coming from all different directions. It happened to me again. I swear, I teach this stuff, and it still happens, but at least I know that I'm in it when I'm in it now. I don't let myself get too far. Having a great time with the family. The grandkids are over. My son takes my granddaughter out, and I start looking at the clock because it's raining and they've been out for too long. And where does my mind go? An accident. And I'm trying to keep it at bay. I'm breathing like, it's okay. How long do I wait? I'm looking at the clock. Do I give 5 minutes, 10 minutes before I call him? And then I start, are you crazy? I go through the whole gamut, and then I come back to, what are you teaching this week? Okay, just breathe. Yes. Yes. Yes, we teach what we need to learn. And of course, my son came home with our granddaughter, and everything was fine. But, I teach this because I need it. Because we know that we can go down that spiral, spin out, and get into crazy. And it's not useful. It's not helpful, right? Because you've missed the moment. So don't squander your joy. Don't squander your joy waiting for the other shoe to drop. And the best way to not do that is to stay in gratitude. Find something. Be grateful for the moment. Like, wow, this is so awesome that I get to have my grandchildren in the evening, and my husband is here with me, and he enjoys them as much as I do. And it's a great time. Maybe more. Yeah, maybe more. He's special. So that's what our theme, our topic has been for the month. For those of you who are here for the first time, I hope that's enough of a grounding. So when we split out into small groups, you'll have a basis to speak from. So when we split out, our guidelines, mutual respect, of course, maintaining confidentiality. This is important. Is that when you share something that's private and personal, you don't want it all over the place. And I don't know how deep you're going to share, but I'll leave that to your discretion. But it always feels safer when you know that it's held in confidence. And so I encourage you all to embody brave space instead of, have you heard safe space? Yeah. So space has to be safe in order for us to be brave. Okay? So we're asking you to go beyond your safe space and go into brave space. Go into brave space. And I know for some of you, just being in this circle, that's That's brave right there. Just not turning around and walking out the door when you came in and saw the circle. Be present. Be present. That means having your attention here and now. We all have busy lives and things that are going on, things that happened before, things you're going to do when you leave here, but we be present and be in the moment with each other. Wait stands for why am I talking? Or why aren't I talking? Some of us have no trouble talking in a circle. And they talk and talk and talk some more. And some of us are very, very quiet in the circle. But the circle is meant for everybody. So challenge by choice, but also police yourselves. If you're one who is used to talking a lot, just keep your comments more succinct and leave space for other people. And if you're one who doesn't talk much, challenge yourself maybe to speak up a little bit more. So that's what WAIT stands for. Be mindful of time. So there'll be basically 3 prompts, 3 different questions, and we want everybody to have time to speak on each one of them, and then we're going to have about maybe 20 minutes to go through these questions together, so be mindful of time. Remember the other groups, because we're splitting out into groups. There'll be multiple groups meeting in here. There might be some meeting outside. There might be others out there in the vestibule. But just be mindful as you're talking that there are other groups speaking, so try to not be
Because it
super
always seems
loud.
to work out that all the loud people end up in the same group.
Yeah. And then the parking lot is for things that might be important to talk about, but maybe are a little bit out of the realm of the conversation, so we park it for a little bit, and then if we have time later, we get to it. So, is this good? Yeah? Okay. And one more thing. So circle is not for lecturing, despite the fact that I have spoken a lot today. It feels like a lecture. It's not for persuading people to your point of view. Okay? It's also not for giving advice. So when you hear the circle prompt, the invitation is to speak about how that affects you. And other people who are in the circle might feel like, wow, I have just the perfect answer for her, but that's not the moment. That's not what this is for. Okay? We're not, we didn't ask you. All you rescuers, stand down. Stand down. This is just a moment to reflect, right? And to expand our awareness. I feel like circle for me is like putting a 360 camera in the midst of something, and you get to see all these different views and perspectives, and that's what makes it really fun. So circle is not about putting someone in their place. Maybe somebody says something, it triggers you a little bit. That's not the time or the place to have that conversation. It also, no matter how cathartic, how wonderful it feels in the circle, we're really not in therapy today. Okay? So just remember that. Yeah, darn. Circle is for providing a structure for conversations. I think this was on the other slide, right? About empathy and self-awareness and shared leadership. All right. So we have 3 questions, and how many people do we have? 24 counting me. So, all right, so let's go with, I was thinking circles of 3 to 4 people. 3 to 4 people. Does that feel okay? And we're not having like official circle facilitators. So each group will kind of be on their own to move things along, to kind of police yourselves. I'm going to say, look across the room and find somebody you don't know. That's everybody for you. That's everyone for you. Yeah, yes. Yeah, so let's do that. That's the instruction I'm going to give you. And get yourselves in groups of 3 to 4. You said we had 24? 26 counting me. So, no, we're not counting off. You're just going to find, just going to pair off. Just go find somebody. 5 groups of 5? All right, it's changing in the moment. 5 groups of 5, so go ahead and count off by 5. You start. Go ahead, Norman.
1,
No, you're one. You're one, Marsha. One. You guys are okay. You're gonna do your thing out there. Okay, too much. I understand. I understand. Okay, so what were you? One. Okay. Oh, 1, 2, 3. Okay. So 1, 2, 3. Here's a 1, 2s, 3s, 4s, and 5s. Find your group. And find yourself a spot.